But moving on from USL to the big boys now, the World Cup. This World Cup so far has been amazing, and I mean, we'll start with the Mexico game. We can't go through all the games, but the Mexico game, I will say, watching the full tournament so far, I think a big thing that stood out to me is the refereeing has been pretty good. They let him play. They don't call every single little thing, except for that Mexico game. That was the one outlier where this guy was just throwing red cards out, throwing yellow cards like crazy. Like no, like he had no chill the whole game, just throwing them out. Yes, Kyle.
I didn't think the one red card towards like the end of the game where the guy was like through. I didn't think it warranted a red card personally. Then again, I don't watch much soccer, but it's the World Cup, so obviously I'm going to tune in. But I didn't think it was a red card personally because I mean he goes for the ball. Yes, he does knock over the player, but I saw some people, they were like, oh, it shouldn't have been a red card. But I remember I was watching that game just from like a distance, and I'm like, holy crap, there's like, what, 2 or 3 red cards given, and I was like, what is that normal or?
Yeah, I mean, regardless if it's a red, I mean, it was a foul. Maybe,
Definitely a foul.
yeah, maybe you can argue the red or yellow, but I also think a guy like Chapito Montes should not be doing that. I mean, you're winning 2-0. You've got an important game today,
Yes,
right,
and
against South Korea.
Yeah.
Toughest game you're going to play probably in this group stage, and now Cesar Montes will not be available for that game. So I just think it's just, I get it. You're playing in the, quite frankly, the most pressure you can face ever in your career. But you gotta think throughout the game and not commit fouls like that. So now he won't be available, unfortunately, for Mexico.
And 2 red cards for South Africa that game, which I think both of them. The little slap to the face, I could see maybe.
Yeah.
The first one did not, even though I get he impeded a possible scoring play. Like I was like, wow, I thought a yellow for sure, but
Maybe
not
a bit
red.
harsh.
That's the same reason why they gave it to Montes, but that one was not the same. He was not even the last defender. He wasn't. The guy didn't break through the line, so I thought that one was definitely a bad one, and it is really bad for the Mexico team because now we have Edson Alvarez playing. He's a little older. He's a little feistier. He gets in fights, and I'm scared he might also draw a red card in this game against a really good South Korea team. So definitely our hardest game in the group, and I'm a little worried not having Montes there, really tall guy for the set plays. Our captain on the defense, I think our captain for the full team. So it's a scary situation tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like what I just said about these players facing their biggest tests in their career, right? It doesn't get bigger than the World Cup, but same for the referees, right? I mean, if you're a referee, right, and you're refereeing your professional league wherever, in whichever country you're based in, and you get called up to referee the World Cup, that is the biggest honor you can have as a referee. So they face nerves as well. They're not robots. These guys are humans. So we kind of do have to cut them some slack here and there, but at the same time, we got to hold them to the standard where you got chosen for a reason, right? You're one of the best, or you're the best from your respective league. So, and to build off that, what you just said, Edson Alvarez always been known to be one of those guys that kind of gets into these scrambles. I mean, you think of all the U.S.-Mexico games over the past couple years, he's in the center of every single scuffle. And obviously, right now at the age he's at, not what he was he's not anymore what he once was.
Yeah.
He's not in the wash category, not whatsoever. But I do think Aguirre playing him a bit more back at center back sometimes is kind of concerning. I could see why some Mexico fans don't like that, and so we'll see. He's gonna have to step up here against South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hope he does. And you mentioned the U.S., another big performance, a big pressure performance. Like everyone's look at the U.S. Me personally, I was looking at them to fail. I don't like the U.S. I'm a Mexico fan. That's the rival, but they go out there and they put a 4-1 score with a great performance, a great goal by Reina. I mean, for you guys, what was that performance like? What did you think about that?
I think I was going to mention it before, but I think you look at kind of this World Cup, the storylines that are in place for it. The USA trying to prove something because last World Cup they did not meet the standards to what they wanted. And then you have the Messi thing. He got a hat trick in his first match, and as well as Ronaldo, Portugal. They drew right?
Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah, drawing in that match. But I think the U.S. kind of, you're in SoFi Stadium. Like you take a look at where the games are being played, and SoFi Stadium is probably one of, if not the, I'm not going to say most recognizable stadiums, but it is. If you pack that place full of American fans, you're gonna have you better show up to win. And I think that's exactly the mentality that they had going into it. I I think they showed out. The goal by Reina was really, really, really good. I watched that live. It was
Potential
amazing.
goal of the tournament still
Yeah.
so far. I mean, there have been a few that
Last night it was.
no, that one was. There have been a few that have matched up though, so I'm not too sure if it will be.
Mbappe's was insane.
Mbappe just went off too.
No, Mbappe popped off,
The
but
other
yeah,
day was Haaland, Mbappe, Messi.
Haaland, everyone's-
Yeah, all the big
Everyone
was-
was going crazy, and then Ronaldo with a stinker and
Luis Diaz yesterday.
Luis Diaz. Dude, it was a great.
But no, the U.S. I mean,
series.
to go off that too, like they felt like they have a lot to prove. I mean, I feel like this 2026 World Cup has been talked about for ages, even before the 22 World Cup. When we found out that the U.S. was gonna be the main host of this World Cup, there's so much pressure on. Okay, by the
the
time we
main
get to
host.
26, you know, it's the primary host.
Yeah.
By the time we get, I mean, for like over 4 or 5 years, we've said like, oh, by the time we get to 26, this U.S. group is gonna be blossom. Because I mean, you talk about that 3-4 year stretch where Mexico couldn't even beat the U.S. and these were guys that they're still only like 26, 25, 26 years old. And back then they were like 20, 21, 22. So we're like by 26 they're gonna be flying. And quite frankly, it's been up and down with Pochettino. Like we were so excited to see Pochettino. Some games that probably should have won that he didn't win. But right now he has them playing incredibly. Obviously, it's only been match day 1. Like you said, Reina's been a guy who's been a lot of discussion around. I mean, should he have even gone to the World Cup? Some people say, and look at him scoring a Trivela and then Balogun popping off.
Yep.
Yes.
Um,
he was. He had
That's.
some
I
crazy
think
goals,
that's
too.
one of the biggest.
The U.S. have found their number 9.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that's the biggest. If there's one difference from previous U.S. squads, is they finally have a true striker. I mean, and within like the past 2 World Cups, you haven't really seen.
Because Pepe didn't get called up last time.
Exactly.
Now you have Pepe on the bench. Who's Pepe's? He's remarkable.
I
He
think
puts on a great shift.
Balogun knows like he knows his role. He knows he's there to score goals, and he put on a performance against Paraguay.
For the U.S. though, I did see Paraguay as the weakest opponent that they have. Personally, I thought it was Australia, but after the Australia Turkey game,
that's fair.
Because I definitely thought Turkey was gonna humble the U.S. That's what I was expecting. But after the game, Australia really impressed me. And their goalie,
Yeah.
he saved some shots that if they would have gone in, those goals would have been in contention for goal of the tournament so far.
I mean, the Socceroos are always a tough opponent. But I will tell you this. I think on paper going into this World Cup, I definitely think Australia was not the easiest because no team is easy, but definitely the one you should get a win over. And obviously, like you said, they put up a great performance against Turkey. But at the same time, I don't want to offend any Turkish fans that we may be having here on the Huddle. But I think Turkey often, gets falsely called the dark horse. Yes, they do have potential. They've shown it before, but they haven't really clicked it, on the biggest stage. So, and Paraguay, on the other hand, they beat really tough South American teams to get to the World Cup. They put up results against Argentina, against Brazil. They came back against Colombia in Colombia, and they drew the game over there. Like, these guys, I definitely thought Paraguay was going to be the tougher team just because the South Americans are just built different. I mean, it's something we say back there. It's like they play with what. And so now that we saw the U.S. play the way they did against a tough Paraguayan side, I'm really excited to see how they do against.
Definitely, they convinced me that they're the favorite of the group as much as I want them to lose. I do expect them to make it through, and I expect them to get the first spot. Let's talk about Qatar, Switzerland real quick just because I went to the game. Great atmosphere.
I was gonna say, how was that?
Dude, the Swiss fans were amazing. They were chanting. They weren't even near the goal. They were up at the top, and they were just going crazy. And I was rooting for them. But then I was like, I want a good game. Maybe a little intoxicated watching. and then Qatar with the last-minute goal to completely set that. Like, that whole stadium was going crazy. My side was a little quiet because, there's a lot of Swiss people there. But all the neutral fans, we just started cheering because what a goal it was and what a way to, end the game just tied up, and that's Qatar's first point in any World Cup. Only their second goal in the World Cup. So just a great ending to a game there. And then
you got to see the legend of Mbolo from Switzerland. There's this thing people say that they don't know what he does from World Cup to World Cup, meaning those years in between. Like, they don't know what he's doing playing club football. But when the World Cup comes, this guy just pops off, and you got to see that.
And for the Swiss, my dad even called it. He said they're gonna regret missing some of these opportunities early on, and they did. They should have won that game, and that was a game that they dropped, and it's gonna hurt them in the end. I definitely think.
One thing to mention, I love seeing kind of it's kind of like, I don't want to say culture shock, but like you see European like countries, their fans coming over to the United States and kind of embracing, like, I know the Scottish fans were
They ran out of beer.
exactly like you go to Boston and like they embrace Boston. I think that's so cool to see. I think that's
Yeah.
what sports does. I think kind of, you look at the world's not in the greatest place, obviously, but I think the World Cup, sports in general, kind of just brings them all together. And then, like, you even see, I think I saw something where I forgot what fan base it was, but they kind of cleaned up after themselves.
Oh,
as
Japan,
well.
yeah.
They always-
And
yeah.
you
Japan's
just
class
you
act.
see those types of things, and you're like, okay, this is sports. This is what it's meant to be. But I just think it's pretty cool just seeing people coming from all over the world to the United
Yeah,
States,
right.
and then just kind of
And
unifying.
especially for a tournament where there's been a lot of controversy, like should the
Yeah.
U.S. even be hosting it?
Yeah.
They're not letting certain people in. There's obviously still turmoil in the world, and a lot of people complain that they're not opening their doors completely. I understand the frustrations, but to still see people get over that, like to overcome those hurdles and still come together, and not just in the U.S., especially in Mexico. There's that brotherhood of South Koreans and Mexicans.
that was awesome
insane.
too.
And
That was awesome to
that
see.
dates back years, and now today, there's gonna be a little.
They gotta
little
put it aside for one night.
Yeah, put it aside for the night. Got to play our brothers, and it should be a good game. I mean, obviously I want to win. A tie would be cool too. I saw someone saying they're gonna celebrate both sides, but in Mexico, just a lot of Mexicans embracing whoever is there, South Africans, other Africans, because they all hate South Africa. I love all those videos from the U.S., Canada, Mexico, just everyone embracing each other. And I mean, soccer is my favorite sport. I grew up playing soccer. This is the world's sport, world's best sport. As much as I love American football, for a long time I couldn't watch soccer, but now like nothing will ever top soccer to me. So.
It's how World Cups are.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something about the World Cup. It's just amazing.
Have you guys seen the German fan that's been like
Oh,
documenting everything?
yes, he's famous now.
Yes.
He's like an internet
Yes.
sensation.
Like he became an Ella Langley fan.
Yeah.
Like-
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
have. You're right. Yeah.
He's going to her concert
Dude.
too.
Yeah, dude. And now he's
He went to like a Buc-ee's and stuff like that.
and he's like documenting it like I don't know, what is a hot dog or something he ate. He's like,
Yeah.
what is this? And like, bro, it's just that's so hilarious to me. And then one last game to cover though. We have to talk about it with Jero here. Colombia getting a crazy 3-1 win yesterday. And Luis Diaz, you've said it, he's going to be the leading scorer of the tournament, or he's going to be have a great showing this tournament. How did that game mean to you as a Colombian?
It meant a lot, It meant a lot. But I mean, I'll put the pride aside. I do think we looked a bit cold at the beginning of the game. I mean, it was that first World Cup game. A lot of these guys are playing their first World Cup, apart from guys like James, Yeremina, who wasn't even in, Ospina, who also wasn't in. So a lot of these guys, including Luis Diaz, it was their first tournament on the biggest stage. And so no matter how good you can be at the club level, I mean, going to the World Cup, it's a different thing. So obviously they did look a bit cold at the start, couldn't really build. And then obviously that beautiful, beautiful pass from Luis Diaz over to Daniel Munoz, who will join a huge team, I believe, after this World Cup. He's due to leaving Crystal Palace. We got the goal. And then we kind of just settled for that 1-0 lead, I think. I mean, went into halftime, up 1-0. Second half came around, and they just kind of felt comfortable, I think. I think too comfortable. And then obviously that mistake happened there where, I don't know who wasn't marking who, but Uzbekistan really got in a lunchtime goal. A guy was back post and tapped it in, fair play. And luckily, I mean, what was it? Gustavo Porta came in, or he was already in, had a really nice play, took it from the Uzbekistan midfielder. Set up Luis Diaz first time. Boom. 2-1. And those last 10 minutes or so had me on. Someone should check my heartbeat from those 10 minutes because Uzbekistan were knocking on the door. But yeah, obviously last minute winner to seal it.
I mean, I'll give Colombia the benefit of the doubt, though, because I feel like a lot of teams, this is what the World Cup is. Like, a lot of teams shock, and especially in the first game. The first game is much different. Like, there's been multiple games, like Portugal tying, Spain tying to Cabo Verde. Like, there's those teams that should win, and they don't ever get hot in that game. Colombia did turn it on at the end and got 3 goals. So I feel like, that's why, to me, Colombia does maybe not a better team than Spain, but like they're clicking more. And I like that for Colombia, and they could be a real dark horse for me to win, maybe not the whole thing, but to go far.
let's talk about that last minute goal, right? I mean, the ball gets sent over to Cucho Hernandez. I don't know what his height is listed at officially, but he was way shorter than the defender from Uzbekistan. He outbodies him, is on the ground, gets up, shields it, turns around, whips it across to Hamilton Campas, who was probably the shortest player on the field, who knocks in the header home to seal it 3-1. That's pure grit and guts.
That's what you need in the World Cup.
That's what
at
you
the end of
need.
the day.
And props to Nestor Lorenzo for making those two subs. He brought those two guys in to do exactly that, and it paid off.